There are people in your life right now who don't like you, and you didn't do anything to earn it. No argument, no betrayal, no moment where you crossed a line. You probably couldn't even point to a single incident. It's just this quiet, persistent tension. They look at you a beat too long. They go cold in a group conversation. They find small ways to dismiss you, and you've been running it through your head, trying to figure out what you did wrong. Most people will tell you it's jealousy. That's the easy answer. It's a word we throw at anything we can't fully explain. But that label flattens something much more specific and much more revealing. Because the truth is, you can show up as your most genuine, grounded self. No arrogance, no performance, no need to prove anything, and there will still be people who want to see you stumble. Not because of anything you've done, but because of something your presence quietly stirs in them. And once you see what's actually happening, you'll stop trying to fix it. You'll stop replaying the conversations. You'll stop diluting yourself to make others comfortable. So let's walk through what's really at play here. The first reason is the hardest to spot, because it has nothing to do with your actions. It has everything to do with the space you take up. Some people feel unsettled around you because your way of being reminds them of the parts of themselves they've abandoned. Think about it. The people who seem to have a quiet problem with you usually don't know you deeply. They haven't had a real conversation with you. They've never seen you at your worst or your best. And yet, something about you irritates them. What psychology tells us is that the human mind craves internal consistency. It wants the story we tell ourselves about who we are to match the reality we live in. When someone walks into a room carrying a sense of self-respect, a certain emotional steadiness, a comfort in their own skin, it creates a pressure that they never intended to create. Not because they're trying to stand out, not because they think they're above anyone, simply because their presence highlights an absence. When you're around a person who doesn't beg for approval, who doesn't broadcast their wounds for sympathy, who doesn't bend themselves into whatever shape the room demands, your brain unconsciously registers the distance between their stability and your inner chaos, and that distance is uncomfortable. Most people, when faced with that gap, won't choose to close it by doing the hard work of growth. They'll try to close it by tearing you down in their own mind. If they can convince themselves that you're cold, that you're fake, that you think you're better than everyone, then they don't have to face the fact that you're simply more honest with yourself than they are. This is why people get irritated when you stop explaining yourself. This is why your refusal to get drawn into drama feels like a personal attack to them. Your silence becomes something they need to fill with a story, because the alternative is acknowledging that their own noise is a choice. You didn't say a word. You didn't judge them. You just existed in a way they can't. And that quiet is devastating. The Stoics talked about this kind of freedom constantly. This idea that so much of our suffering comes from caring too much about what other people are doing, saying, or thinking about us. Marcus Aurelius, writing privately to himself, not for an audience, put it plainly. How much time a person saves, he wrote, by not looking at what his neighbor is saying or doing or thinking, and instead paying attention only to whether his own actions are just. That's not a call to ignore people. It's a description of a kind of freedom most people never experience, because they're too busy managing everyone else's opinion of them to actually live. When you stop doing that, when you actually get quiet inside, it reads to a performing world as arrogance. It isn't. It's just the absence of a performance they assumed everyone was giving. The second reason people dislike you without cause is that your growth forces them to confront their own stagnation. Nobody will admit this out loud, but watch what happens when you start genuinely improving. Not talking about improving, not posting about it, but actually changing. You start thinking with more clarity. You start carrying yourself differently. You make decisions that serve your future instead of your comfort. At first, people say they're happy for you. They give you the public support, but then something shifts beneath the surface. The warmth cools. The invitations slow down. The jokes don't land the same way anymore, and you start wondering what you did wrong. The answer is nothing you did, but something you became. There's a well-documented dynamic in social psychology called social comparison theory. It tells us that people evaluate their own worth not in isolation, but by measuring themselves against those around them. When you level up, you don't just change your own life, you change the comparison for everyone connected to you. Suddenly, they're faced with a question they've been avoiding. If you can change, what's my excuse? If you can build discipline, why have I stayed stuck? And instead of sitting with that question honestly, they choose resentment. It's easier. They minimize your effort. They say you got lucky. They tell themselves you've changed in the worst sense of the word. Of course you've changed. That was the point. But to someone who has grown comfortable with their own inertia, your evolution feels like an indictment. Not because you handed one down, but because your very existence now asks a question they aren't ready to answer. This is why old friends can become distant after you succeed. This is why some people seem to withdraw the moment you stop complaining and start building. This is why certain people, even within your own family, will quietly root for you to fall back to the version of yourself they understood. Your progress threatens the story they rely on to justify why they haven't moved. You become living proof that their stagnation is not a life sentence. It's a series of choices, and that kind of proof is hard to sit with. The third reason is more subtle, but it's the one that generates the most unspoken resentment. Your refusal to perform makes their performance obvious. Most people are not being fully real. They're playing a role. They're projecting confidence when they're terrified, agreeing with things they don't believe just to avoid friction, laughing at jokes that aren't funny, smiling when they want to scream. It's draining, but it's also safe, because if everyone is pretending, nobody has to be honest. Then you enter the space, and you don't play along. You don't fake enthusiasm. You don't pretend to be someone else to make the room comfortable. You don't nod along with something you know isn't true just to keep the peace. And without trying to, without making any kind of statement, you become a mirror. When someone who is performing looks into that mirror, they don't see you. They see the exhaustion of their own act. They see how much energy they spend maintaining an image. They see the fear that keeps them locked inside a version of themselves that isn't real. And instead of feeling grateful for the reflection, they resent you for creating it. This is why people call you too intense. This is why they say you're hard to read. This is why they get irritated when you speak with quiet honesty instead of polished social scripts. You haven't done anything wrong. You've simply opted out of a game they feel trapped in. And people who depend on illusion cannot stand extended proximity to someone who walks in truth. It destabilizes their whole structure, and their instinct, almost every time, will be to push you away rather than drop the mask. If you move through life and nobody ever has a problem with you, you're probably making yourself small. You're probably editing yourself just enough to stay safe. Living with integrity, living in alignment with what you actually believe and value, will always create friction with people who haven't done that work. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that cuts straight to the core of it. He said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." That line hits because it exposes the trap. We hand our peace over to people we wouldn't even trade places with. We let their discomfort become our emergency. But here's where this actually leads, and it matters that you hear this part carefully, because it's easy to take it the wrong way. None of this is permission to look down on people. It's not license to treat their discomfort as proof of your superiority, and it's definitely not an invitation to isolate yourself and dress that up as strength. That would just be a different kind of performance. The wounded philosopher, standing apart from everyone, secretly pleased about it. The Stoics weren't interested in that either. Seneca, who spent a good portion of his life around people who resented him for reasons that had nothing to do with anything he'd done to them, wasn't arguing for contempt. He was arguing for steadiness. The goal was never to win the approval of people committed to staying where they are. The goal was to keep your own conduct sound, regardless of what they decided to do with it. So you don't fight the resentment. You don't try to talk anyone out of misunderstanding you. You don't collect grievances or walk around bracing for the next person who's going to take issue with your calm. You just keep doing what you were doing before you noticed any of this. Staying honest, staying kind where kindness is real, holding your ground where it matters, and you let people think whatever they need to think in order to feel okay about where they are. Clarity with yourself is worth more than approval from everyone else. And here's what's strange and true. The same qualities that make certain people uncomfortable around you are the exact qualities that will draw the right people toward you. Quietly, genuinely, without conditions. The people who are also tired of performing, the people who respect honesty because they live in it themselves. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You need to be aligned. You need to know that when your head hits the pillow, you didn't betray yourself that day for the sake of being palatable. So if you've been sitting with the weight of someone's unexplained dislike, trying to figure out where you went wrong, stop searching, stop dissecting old conversations for clues, stop trying to repair something that was never broken. You didn't fail them, you just revealed something they weren't ready to see in themselves. And carrying that revelation for them is not your job. The path you're on was never meant to be packed with people. It was meant to be clear, clear of the noise of others' expectations, clear of the addiction to being approved of, clear of borrowed opinions you picked up without ever deciding if they were yours. Some nights you'll feel the loneliness of that, not because you lack people, but because you've outgrown the version of yourself that needed their validation. That loneliness isn't a sign that you've gone wrong. It's a sign that you're finally standing on your own ground. Don't rush to fill the silence. Sit in it. Let it teach you. Become steady inside it. Because once you stop needing permission to be who you are, life stops negotiating with you. And the people who were never meant to walk this road with you will fall away on their own. Not because you pushed them, but because what is real always separates itself from what is performance.